Hi, this is Sorendil, and this is my Sprint 5, my final sprint project demo for ist361. And what you're looking at here is my very hacked together, incomplete final application. It's not incomplete. One of the reasons it's ugly is because the styling isn't done, and that had been a goal of mine, but I played around with some of the Vaadin default styles. I didn't really care for any of them, so I was going to have to essentially create a Sass theme, and I've never worked with Sass before, to style in this app. And there's a variety of reasons I won't be using Vaadin going forward, so it didn't seem worth it to me to really sit down and spend the hours it was going to take to figure out how to build a decent Sass theme. So anyway, there's other problems with this page too. Some of them I'll get into with my code, but one of them that you can see right here is that not all of my resources are actually here. There should be links under these buttons that say search title by genre, search title by user tag, search title by language, by supported language. And those aren't there because I couldn't make that happen with Vaadin, which is strange since it is a very simple thing to do with HTML. So, but you can get to all of my performance metric displays from here. So that's still there, and it's all on one page, which I'm happy about. And so that's basically what I've done here, and yeah, so everything works. It's all here, other than those links I talked about, which should show you those search features in this display. And that would be very easy to do. I could just add buttons under here that did that. I kind of ran out of time. I kind of got frustrated with it. I know I'm not using it going forward, and I'll talk about that when I talk about my code, which I think I should probably go ahead and jump into. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into my code. So this is what I have here. I created a new frontpage.java, and it is a simple layout display, and it's pretty hacked together. So it has two class variables, a content container, which is just that horizontal layout that holds this sidebar here, and this, what this is actually an iframe. And yeah, I'm using an iframe to display my own content, and that's because I built my content incorrectly from the get-go, apparently. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me just show you what is working and not terrible. So this is my header. Again, it will eventually have theming and artwork, and that will be kind of the layout of that page. It's important to remember that the context for this application is that it's supposed to be part of a bigger website that has features like blog posts and community forums for Steam game developers to request analytics or post their own analytics, which could get moved to the feature analytics side of the site if they're production quality and nice and thoughtful and well done. And so this is the ability to display kind of raw data to the user without them having to query an API for the JSON data and look at it themselves. So it would be nice for this feature to all fit into one page, and it basically does here, which is nice. I like that. Everything else I don't like. So let's talk about the nice parts real quick. So there's a header, there's a bunch of button declarations along with Lambda expressions for the listener events that all call the update content container function. And then there is the sidebar holds the buttons and has a set width and set height. And then here we set the iframe, it's called browser frame in Vaadin, height and width. And we add all the components to, we add those two components to the content container, which is a horizontal layout under the header, pretty much. Very much like just like HTML would be. And then we add it to the main vertical layout and set that as the content for the page. So the update content container just sets the source of that iframe to the different, and again, these are actually internal resources, but because I created them as UIs, I was going to have to, well, to make them work, I would have had to get rid of the UI extension, extend vertical layout, and implement a view, and then get rid of the init function, which is where most of my code took place, and restructure around a slightly different model. And that was going to take a lot of time, and I thought I spent too much. I could have done it if I had just realized that was the only way, but I spent a lot of time thinking there was another way. I also spent a lot of time on something called Vaadin Designer, which I kind of want to show you. Anyway, there's lots of videos out there. I don't need to show you. But it turns out Vaadin Designer only works in Eclipse and kind of in IntelliJ. Obviously, I have IntelliJ over here, and I have the student version, which I love. I think it's great. And I had a lot of trouble getting it to work in IntelliJ, so I thought, oh, well, how hard can it be to use in Eclipse? So I downloaded Eclipse, tried to port my project over to Eclipse. That was pretty much a no-go. I just figured I would sort of create my pages using the Vaadin Designer, or my page using Vaadin Designer in Eclipse. And that ended up not working out for several reasons. For one thing, I had thought the designer would be kind of like the JavaFX scene builder, which I really enjoyed using. And I think that that's what they're going for, but it is not nearly as intuitive, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't have the same functionality. You can drag and drop features, but it doesn't have the property editors. It does have property editors, but they're not nearly as robust as the JavaFX version. And also, handling like component widths and spacing and stuff, it basically requires raw HTML code, as far as I can tell, which to me, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just pull up a browser and use the inspector and the CSS styling function. You know, you can edit it in the browser right here, and then edit your styles right here. So yeah, so I just didn't see any real benefit after spending a few hours fiddling around with that. So yeah, that's one reason my view is very incomplete. It's also, you know, it is an important lesson to learn that this is not really the framework for me. There's a few other issues I have with it. The main one being that there just doesn't seem to be, it's not that popular. It doesn't seem like there doesn't seem to be that much community out there talking about it. So I very much have to spend a lot of time like troubleshooting and digging into my own problems. Whereas with some other frameworks I've worked with, including Spring actually, a simple Google search really will, 9 times out of 10, just 10 seconds, and I've got my problem figured out. And that's just not the case with Vaadin. There are some things about Vaadin that are clean, but yeah, I won't be using it going forward. Between the pay gating and the issues I have with Vaadin Designer, plus I'm not used to Eclipse. I've used it a couple of times, once for a class at Penn State and once for a work thing, and now once for this, so 3 times, and I have just never had a good experience. I don't know if that's just bad luck, or I'm sure I'm not giving it enough time, but I'm happy with NetBeans and IntelliJ, and I'm much more comfortable with them, so I'll stick with them, and that probably precludes the use of Vaadin Designer, which didn't feel that useful to me in the first place. So that is pretty much my demo, and hopefully it wasn't as disappointing to you guys as it was to me. But yeah, not very happy with it. And I really thought Vaadin Designer was going to make, it was one of the main appealing things about Vaadin to me, was that it had a scene builder like feature, and that was a real letdown. Both the functionality and having to use it with Eclipse. So anyway, so that's pretty much my video for this week, and thanks for a wonderful semester. Thanks for all the useful feedback to both you, Steve, and to you, Robert, and I hope you guys have a nice rest of your summer.